I have been putting these workshops together for quite a while now, and at last I can say they are completed. I have been working my butt off to research and get the very best from the best leaders in the field. And over the last, I would say, 10 years of meditating myself and going on a great deal of workshops and retreats, training with Dr. Deepak Chopra to become a Chopra certified instructor. Now I can actually say that I've put together a process that really, really does work for every person out there. So if you're interested in meditation at all, I have some workshops that are very unique. They're very specialized. The first one is all about breathing techniques, and they are absolutely profound. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't have done the research and all of the courses and started teaching it myself to actually see what a difference it actually makes in only one single session. So the big focus is on breathing techniques as one of the workshops, and another workshop is focused mainly on how we get into that deep meditative state. We get into the deep meditative state very, very quickly by going through a 3-step process that I've put together. And this is what I have been working on really hard to create over the past 3 or 4 months. And of course, there's a touch of neuroscience to all of my workshops, because when you have the knowledge and the understanding of what you're being asked to do, you'll surrender and get so much more out of the practice. Okay, so most of us have actually tried meditation at some stage or other. Very, very few of us have a regular practice. Now, why is that? There is now an abundance of scientific evidence that meditation has very, very positive effects on our mental, on our emotional, and on our physical state. So, why is it that more people aren't doing this practice? Now, this is a question that I started researching quite a while ago. Because I was a bit of a skeptic myself. Now, for centuries, guys, thousands of people from around the world have been meditating and are to this day submerged in the benefits of this ancient practice. And yet, so many are convinced that, look, I'm just too busy. I've got a to-do list as long as my arm. How am I going to fit in time to meditate, for goodness sake? Or, I tried that and it just doesn't work for me. I tried it. Maybe it's for other people, but it's not for me. And then there's another very common aspect of what meditation is. Look, it's for tree huggers, it's for yogis and monks and people that sit on hilltops in the middle of some rainforest. It's not for normal people. Normal. Okay, well, surprisingly, amongst the individuals in the modern world that are now avid meditators and who are reaping the benefits are very prominent CEOs. The Navy SEALs have been doing this technique for a very long time. There's a great deal of celebrities out there doing this to manage their stress and their anxiety, and a great deal of public speakers as well doing meditation. There's the US Defense Department, and it's really, really popular at Google headquarters. They have their own meditation rooms there. What a great place to work. Now, as I said before, being a skeptic myself, I was really, really curious. So I started attending classes, and I feel like I was almost forced into it because I was trying to get past my own anxiety. So I joined an array of programs. I wanted to know which one was the right one for me. And it led me into a whole world of yoga, of mindfulness, of meditation styles. And in all honesty, I wouldn't have got past the first week of classes. I wouldn't have got past the first week if it hadn't have been for my desperation to find a way out from my own anxiety, from my own crazy mind that just never ever stopped. So, I totally understand why most people just don't get to experience the benefits before they bail out, because it just takes too long to get into it. If you're someone that's really, really stressed and you go into a class and you're expected to sit down and close your eyes and start chanting a mantra, it doesn't work because the gap is just too wide. It feels absolutely impossible. I've been there. And this is the one obvious challenge, that expectation to take the mind and body from a state of stress and anxiety into a state of deep meditation. And like I said, it was absolutely or seemingly impossible for me. My mind has always been like a runaway train, and being asked to sit down, close my eyes, chant a mantra was just making the voice in my head so much louder. So, look, I persisted because, I'm like a dog with a bone. Once I get onto something, I'd read all the scientific research and I thought, this must work. Anyway, I've paid my subscription for these classes for the next 3 months. So I'm going to delve in. I'm going to give it my all. So eventually, with 70,000 thoughts a day in most of our heads, eventually the thoughts started to subside. And it was one particular class, and I still remember it, and I wasn't doing anything different in particular, but I experienced what I can only describe as a state of bliss. um, it's beyond words. Now, whilst I had the luxury of time because I was attending classes all over the place, and in every one of my holidays, I was teaching science at the time, so school teachers do get rather a lot of holidays. Every holiday I had, I went overseas and went on different retreats with different meditation and yoga teachers. So I was able to attend all of these workshops, and I appreciate that most people don't have that available to them. So it got me thinking, how does the average person who's really busy and who may not have the resources to go overseas on retreats, how do they get the benefit of meditation? Because what I'd found out was really profound, and I wanted to share it with as many people as I could. Now, guys, if we were all living in the wilderness and we were void of home loans and traffic jams and bills and deadlines and indigestion from all of these things that are going on in our lives, then of course we'd be able to sit down and meditate and go into this blissful state quite quickly. However, the reality is that there's so much going on in our minds and in our external world that for most of us it's just not something that we can move into very quickly at all, because that gap is extremely wide. So over the last, I would say, with all the research, over the last approximately 3 years, I've been developing and teaching meditation that takes the mind and body from a place of stress through a highly specific, very simple 3-step process and into a state of deep meditation. Now, in the workshops that I teach, everyone, and I mean everyone, experiences mind and body coherence, where the mind and body starts to work as one, and it's quite beautiful when it actually happens. And everyone leaves the workshops that I teach armed with the tools and techniques so that you can continue your practice in the comfort of your own home, or in your workplace, or sat in your car in a car park, for goodness sake. Really, this stuff can be done anywhere. So the 3-step process I teach incorporates very powerful breathing techniques, series of mindful practices which demand both your focus and present moment awareness. And we use very specific mantras where to actually fall into a deeper meditation which transcends our subconscious programming, and that's where we aim to go to. Now, a main advantage of this process is that most of what I teach, as I've suggested before, it can be done pretty much anywhere. Sat in your car, in the car park, sat in a waiting room. Actually, some of the breathing techniques you can do while you're sat in a meeting and nobody would even know, unless, of course, you're the speaker. So you could be sat in a traffic jam, and a couple of these breathing techniques will send you somewhere very different than the anxiety that you could be feeling whilst you're sitting there. Okay, so if at this stage you're wondering if you can actually do this, if it could work for you, then the answer is without a doubt, yes, it actually can work for you. The terms being that you bring your commitment to the workshop, that you're serious about changing at least one aspect of your life, and that you're willing to step out of your comfort zone. And this is the biggest hurdle for most people. But if you're willing to step out of your comfort zone, go into the unknown and do the work, then it will certainly work for you. So it doesn't matter where you're coming from. You're feeling stuck in your job, relationship, finances, health, emotions. Maybe you've just lost your passion, your love for life. You're constantly reminded of bad decisions you've made in the past. Maybe regret is consuming you and it's not allowing you to be creative in this present moment. Whatever it is, you could have trouble sleeping, or you want to try something new, but you have so many limiting beliefs that's stopping you. And I know what that feels like. Then, of course, this process, this very simple 3-step process that I teach, will give you the tools and the techniques to give you very, very positive results. Okay, so check out my website. I've got a few details on there about the up and coming workshops. And I hope to see you, I hope to meet you, and I hope that one day you'll be making meditation one of the most important parts of your life. I'll see you soon.